Hello, I'm going to start the video in a minute once I get it shared with a couple of people. Okay, just give me one more second. I'm just sharing it to some more people and then I don't even know if anyone's here yet or not, but I will start the reading here in just a minute. Okay, hi. My name is Missy. I don't know if anyone has joined me yet or not. I can't see if there's any comments or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my thing. So, what we're going to talk about today is the full moon lunar eclipse that's happening right now, today, or tonight, actually, at about 7:34 p.m. in Los Angeles or in the Los Angeles area. So, you'll have to calculate for and adjust for your time zone, to determine exactly what time it'll be happening for you. But that's what we're talking about right now. Let me grab my notes. So, very quickly, if you don't know what a lunar eclipse is, it's it's what happens when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon. It creates a shadow on the moon, basically, and so the Earth eclipses the moon. And one of the things that, if you read the description of this video, is that this particular full moon lunar eclipse is actually part of a larger cycle that started in March of 2015. There was a number of eclipses that went from, let me look at the dates. It started March 20th, 2015. There was a solar eclipse in Pisces. And then September the 16th, 2016, there was a lunar eclipse in Pisces. And March 13th, 2016, there was a solar eclipse in Pisces. So this current full moon lunar eclipse is actually the culmination or the last chapter. It's like the final period on whatever it was that you were going through back at that time, in March between 2015 to 2016. So think about what was happening at that time. What were you dealing with? Also, what have you been going through over the last 6 months? Because as you know, a full moon is typically the culmination, or when you have the manifestation of something that started about 6 months ago, but it would carry the themes of things that were happening back in 2015 and 2016 for you specifically. So that's what we're looking at in this chart. Um, or in this particular video. But instead of actually looking at the chart and explaining about the chart for the collective, what I'm actually doing is I'm doing some reading for some of my friends, just because, you know, I like doing the personal readings. And so we're going to do the readings one by one, or actually I should say in order of number. We're going to start with number 1 and go through to number 10. That's for everyone's privacy so that nobody knows who's who, but you'll know who you are based on your number. But again, before we get into this reading, let's talk about having a full moon in Pisces. What's Pisces all about? Well, Pisces is a very spiritual sign, very creative sign. Pisces is like the energy of dreams and fantasies. There can be blessings attached to fantasy, but also if you look at you know, some of the associations with the 12th house, or with maybe Neptune or Jupiter, which are the rulers of Pisces, you'll find that there can be deception, there can be confusion, mystery surrounding Pisces. Things can get blown out of proportion, right? It's also your connection to God. Pisces is one of the reasons it's such a spiritual sign. But, you know, all signs have their good and bad sides. And like I was saying a little bit in the intro, this particular lunar eclipse is going to mark an ending, meaning that this is going to be a very emotional eclipse, an emotional full moon for a lot of people. There might be something ending in your life, but it's going to bring a blessing on the heels of it. And so, you know, the reason for that is because there is an ending. It's literally the ending of whatever the situation was in your life that started around 2015, or sometime between March of 2015 to March of 2016. And so you may have been revisiting some of those issues in the last 6 months, meaning that this eclipse and the energies that carry forward from the eclipse in the coming weeks are going to mark an ending of whatever that situation was. There will also be a new beginning that starts from there. It'll still be in the same areas that Pisces rules in your chart. It's just a new chapter in that area. You won't be dealing with the same issues that you were in 2015, 2016. You'll be dealing with new issues in that same area. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen, and please bear with me because I literally just started learning this Restream software today, and so it may take me a minute to go from chart to chart when I'm sharing my screen. Give me 1 second to get it set up, make sure I have the correct one here. Okay, so we're going to start with chart number 1. And you know what? I forgot to do one other thing. Give me 1 second. I need to do something else. Just really quick, I need to change it from looking at me to looking at my little table over here so that I can pull cards. Okay, there we go. All right, so chart number 1. You know who you are, Miss number 1. Okay. So this eclipse is happening in your first house, which means there's something. Now, I know your personal situation, so I already know the thing that's ending, or the thing that has ended for you, that is creating a whole new way for you to interact with the world. That's literally what this eclipse is about. Like and it's a very emotional ending, obviously. It's a very difficult ending, obviously. And now you are interacting with the world in a completely new way. one of the best ways for you to work through this is meditation, right? A lot of spiritual things, because we talked about how Pisces is a very spiritual sign in the introduction. But I want to point out to you here. So when we're looking at this chart, one of the things that's most important is, after you find where Pisces is in your chart, it rules your first house. What we need to do next is look to see where the rulers or the lords of Pisces are. So that would be Jupiter and Neptune. And for you, you happen to have them right here. Jupiter is in the 7th house of partnership and marriage, and Neptune is in the 8th house of joint resources, intimacy, but also death and endings. Your North Node happens to be there in conjunction to Neptune. And it's so funny because when we spoke earlier, you were telling me how much you don't like change. And your North Node is all about embracing change. And especially being there in conjunction to Neptune, right? This has to do with change that affects you personally. It affects how you interact with the world when it comes to intimacy, how you get to know others on an intimate level, right? Because you have such an aversion to change. It's normal to have that when we're talking about the North Node. The North Node in our chart is a difficult point. And the reason that it's such a difficult point is because this is where, we're being asked to step outside of our comfort zone in order to learn the lesson that we came into this life to learn. Each lifetime we have to learn a new lesson that helps us to ascend, right? And so for you, the lesson that you need to learn in this lifetime is to accept change, especially change around your dreams, your fantasies, right? Like things that you would see as a blessing, maybe even things that you would see as a curse, right? What I find very interesting in this chart is that Venus in the transits is getting ready to make a conjunction to your Jupiter. And Jupiter in traditional astrology can represent the husband or the spouse, and you have Jupiter here in your 7th house. That typically means that you probably have had spouses that were very jovial, very happy-go-lucky, very they were of benefit to you in some way, right? Well, having Venus come into conjunction to this Jupiter, there's a possibility that there's somebody that could be coming into your orbit that may see you in a romantic way. And right now is just not the time, right? And you're just like, whoa, hold on. And here's the thing, right? Because of this loss that you have that's affected you personally in the first house, it's affected the way that you're interacting with the world around you. It's an emotional loss because it's connected to the moon. And it's a loss that, is centered around relationships for you, death and endings for you as well. So there's automatically going to be a lot of love coming in for you from other people, especially people that you partner with in some way, shape, or form, whether that be people that you work with, family members, anyone that you're connected to or responsible for in a legal way, because this is the house of partnerships, legal matters, things like that. So there's a lot of love coming in, a lot of admiration coming in for you when it comes to this loss over here. And that might include something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. So just take that with a grain of salt. But also down here, you have Jupiter. Jupiter is coming in to bring you a blessing because Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. So here with the full moon, you have Neptune in conjunction to the moon, and Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So Neptune can bring a little bit of confusion, right? Like you're confused about what you're going to do next, how you interact with the world, how do you go on, what do you do, all of that type of thing, right? Who is your person, which comes into play down here. But it's because of this loss that you've had. But then Jupiter is coming in to bring you a blessing. And it's a blessing in the form of some type of communication. It could be communication from people in your community, support and abundance coming in from the people in your community, your neighbors. This could be friends, peers, brothers and sisters, anyone that you would see as a sibling or a brother or sister, right? Even if they're not necessarily related to you. But again, coming with that, I can't help but see, this right here is just kind of standing out to me. So this might be the thing that, and you have to also remember that Venus is the lesser benefic in a chart. So Jupiter is the greater benefic, Venus is the lesser benefic. So you got two blessings coming in, and it's also a trine between the two. So this is easy flow of energy. There are people coming in to support you and love you at this time, but one of them may have feelings that are a little bit beyond what you're comfortable with right now. So just keep that in mind. Try to go with the flow. Try to, have an open heart when it comes to that. The other thing that I want to say is with Jupiter entering the third house, and I've seen it, but I feel like this is making you want to talk about your love and your loss. Excuse me for a second while I get a drink. I feel like this is actually something that could be very healing for you if you go ahead and do that. The thing is, you have so many ideas about what you want to say, how you want to go about it, what you want to do. And so, there could be like a speech or something that you want to say. There could be something that you're writing to be able to talk about your love and your loss in some way. I would say, whatever this is, it's probably very therapeutic for you. This is your blessing, the things that you have to say, but also the things that other people have to say to you about this loss are going to be a blessing. So with that, I'm going to pull a couple of cards for you. Give me just 1 second. So I got some new cards the other day when I was out with my friends and went to go see Beetlejuice, which was really good. Anyway, we stopped at the store and I got a couple new decks. So let's get you an affirmation card, and we're going to get you a couple tarot cards just to see if there's any other information they want to give you. Actually, I feel like it's this one right here. Today I am brave. Today I will step up to every challenge with courage. All right, let's put that right there. We're going to do a little 3-card spread. Hold on. I feel like we want those two right there. You have the Page of Swords. So that just kind of confirms what we were seeing already with the astrology. There's going to be a lot of, people either talking, right? Talking, giving you information. And they look happy. It looks like it's good news, the things that they're saying with it being on the bottom of the deck. Queen of Pentacles is just very fertile, growth type of energy with the Ace of Pentacles. So in other words, people, and Six of Pentacles. So people are going to be coming in to support you, not just with their words, but there's going to be actual support. If it's not, if it's not money, there'll be support in the form of other things, right? Time, energy, effort, something that's tangible in some way, shape, or form. People are trying to, this is a card, not really a card of charity, but it's a card of like, people are trying to come in and make sure that you have enough, right? In whatever way. They're trying to balance the situation. You probably have a choice to make. Oh, look at that. Remember what I was saying about somebody else might be coming in That's the Two of Cups. Like maybe they'll come in with some coffee. It could be possibly a fire sign. But let's look at your actual cards real quick. You've got the Hermit, the Nine of Cups, and the World. Interesting. So this is literally saying to go within and think about what you really want. What is it that will bring you fulfillment, happiness, joy? That's what the Nine of Cups is all about. And so, you know, whatever it is that will bring you that fulfillment, happiness, and joy is the thing that brings like a positive conclusion to this situation, this energy. It ends it on a positive note. But yeah, with the Hermit card, it's really about going within, and I can't help but look at all of the hearts around here, right? So spending a lot of time, probably spending some time with your cats as well. Just loving on yourself. I feel like that's what the hearts are saying. Love on yourself first. Bring your own like self-fulfillment. Fill your own cup. But the World card is like a successful conclusion, a happy conclusion to whatever the situation is. So that's what this Pisces energy is about for you. It's a happy conclusion. Even though it's a sad loss, there is a happy conclusion to this situation and this energy for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Send you my love, and we'll move on to chart number 2. Give me 1 second to change my screen. Okay, so chart number 2. Hopefully that's coming up correct. Let me look at my notes real quick because I wrote some notes on here as to what I wanted to say. Oh, chart number 2, the eclipse is happening in your 5th house. And this one is all about support the support. It's about the support that you receive from others, but it's going to require you to be flexible. It's going to require you to work with others. So let me get into it really quick. Let me get my notes. All right, so here we are in your 5th house. We've got the Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, also transiting your 5th house. So this is some sort of emotional dream that you have around something creative. Now, this can be anything creative that you do, from, you know, creating a child to creating a business, right? Anything that you've been trying to create that you're feeling emotional about, some sort of dream or something where you're going to get some sort of benefit or blessing that comes in here in the 8th house in the form of support from others, because that's what the 8th house is all about. The 8th house is literally shared resources. It's also a house of endings and intimacy, which is part of having shared resources. You can't really share money with someone without really getting to know them, right? Because money is typically a very deep issue or an intense issue. But let's say, just for example, right, because this is the 5th house of children and you've got shared resources coming over here. And if we look at where your natal Jupiter is, which is in the 7th house of partners, and then your natal Neptune, which is in the 3rd house of community, right? What I would say, like if I was going to guess, this could probably play out in the way of something that's going on with your children, either the support that you receive from the school for your children in some way, shape, or form, the support you receive from the community for your children, the support you receive from your spouse or an ex or even the father of your children. There's some sort of blessing or benefit coming in, but it's after something ends, right? And whatever this ending is, it's something emotional for you. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be about your children, like I say, it could also be about a business. It could be a creative project. It could be someone that you're dating, because that's what the fifth house also entails. It's like anything that's passionate there, and dating falls in that cat. Anything that brings you joy actually is what happens in the fifth house, and dating brings joy. What do you do for fun, right? If there's something that you were trying to create around a hobby and it ends, well, that's really sad, but you've got some sort of support coming in surrounding that in the form of, either from your community or maybe in the form of a partner who's quite unusual. And the reason that I say that is because you've got Uranus in conjunction to Jupiter here. So, when we say unusual, like maybe they rub you the wrong way, or they're not somebody that you would normally partner with in some way, or maybe their ideas are different from yours, and that's the reason that you've got to be flexible. But whatever it is, if you can compromise, you'll have some sort of blessing here in the form of support from others, probably others that are coming either from your community or from some type of partnership here with the seventh house. So again, this would have been something that maybe started sometime in like 2015 to 2016. You thought it might have been over, but then in the last 6 months, maybe it came back up. You've been kind of dealing with it a little bit, right? And now this is going to mark the ending of whatever that was and a new beginning in terms of the support you receive from your community and your partners around some sort of creative pursuit that you have. So at this point, let's go ahead and pull your cards. Let me get them shuffled. And so if anyone else is watching this that wasn't actually getting one of these readings, my hope in doing and posting this live video is that if you happen to have, Pisces in any of these houses or anything like that, or anything close to these placements, maybe it will help you understand how to find it in your own chart so that you can understand how the eclipse will affect you. Okay, one more shuffle and then we'll get you an affirmation card. Also, I can't see comments or anything. I don't know if there's anybody here. Okay, it says, today I feel healing. Today my mind is clear, my body is healthy, and my soul is at peace. Give me 1 second to check my messages real quick, just to see if maybe I'm missing something. Like, I can see that there, it says there's 7 message, or I don't know, something about live chat. Maybe there's 7 people, but I don't know. I don't see if there's any messages or not. Anyway, let me get your cards real quick. All right. Oh, that one wanted to come out, so we'll take it. Actually, another one wanted to come out, but I'm not going to take it. So you have the 7 of Wands. Interesting that comes out when your message in the astrology was that you need to be flexible. So the thing about the 7 of Wands is that it talks about standing your ground. And look at all of the stars in this particular deck, right? So you're probably very good at standing your ground, speaking up for yourself, maybe even standing up for others, I would say, like, because that's another thing about, it's like you have an opinion about something, or you have a voice that you want to say something, and you're very good at speaking up, right? However, look at the High Priestess. There's some sort of secret knowledge or secrets coming out when you have the High Priestess, and then you've got the 5 of Cups. Regret, right? Regret that happens after you've stood up for yourself. And then we've got the Empress and the Sun with the Ten of Swords. So here's the thing. Again, sometimes it's good. Like, I'm going to say, because this is on the bottom of the deck, in the past, it's been very good for you to stand up for yourself. It's probably, you're very, you follow your intuition. You're very, um, you're very in tune to your own inner voice, right? However, there could be some regret if you don't compromise, is what we were saying in the other one. And it could do with, like, again, either a mother figure, maybe a female who's very nurturing, someone who is a mentor in some way, something to that effect, who can either can bring sun to, or bring clarity to a very difficult situation, right? And then you've got the star again right there with Ace of Wands, healing in a new direction. Okay, and then there was even the Four of Swords with rest. But let's look at your cards. So you've got the Page of Wands, the Three of Cups to the Queen of Swords. So very interesting, because the Page of Wands is very like new. It's like a new start, a new passionate beginning or idea, right? Then you've got the Three of Cups with a celebration over this idea. But then here's the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords, the sword is down, meaning they don't want to fight. But whatever it is that they're saying is probably going to be something that you don't want to hear. However, what they're saying, even though it's something that you don't necessarily want to hear, it's valuable information. And they're saying it in order to bring healing. They're saying it because it needs to be said. It needs to be brought to your attention in some way, shape, or form. Also, because of the way that there's a crown and a sword here, it's pointing out the authority of this person. This is probably an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So they have, and there's two stars here and two shields, meaning this person has some sort of expertise. They're a little bit defensive, but they know their stuff with those stars there. So they're not trying to pick a fight with you when they say whatever it is that they're saying. They're just simply saying it because it needs to be brought to the attention in order for it to be taken care of. So you'll need to be flexible. Again, it's good to stand on your beliefs, to stand up for yourself. But in this instance, you might want to wait a little while, because there could be some sort of secret information that you're not aware of at this time that this person brings to your attention. And it'll bring clarity and happiness, joy over whatever this Ten of Swords is. Ten of Swords is typically a card of feeling betrayed in some way. Like, someone stabbed you in the back or something, or maybe things have been typically hard, especially when the star comes after it. Like, you need to heal over that. You've got the sun on one side, the star on the other, so that there's healing over this Ten of Swords in some way. You just have to hold your tongue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, and we'll move on to chart number 3. Give me 1 second to get situated here and change my screen. Okay, so chart number 3, it looks like the lunar eclipse is hitting your 10th house. And I put here on my notes that you need to use your spiritual vision to create your everyday reality. Okay. Excuse me for the coughing. And your blessing is coming right here. You've got Jupiter coming into the first house. So you are bringing your own blessing. And the way that you're going to bring your own blessing is by promoting yourself in some way, shape, or form. Tooting your own horn, right? If you've got Pisces creating some sort of ending up here in the 10th house. The 10th house is typically the house of like career, right? This is your public reputation, right? Like also when you're going out into the world to gather resources in order to bring them home, what is your reputation in regards to that? How do you do that? Right. Your day-to-day job is over here in the 6th house, but you've got Neptune in this house affecting your day-to-day job. So all of these things together, right? Because when we're looking at Pisces, as the full moon being in Pisces, we need to find the rulers or the lords of Pisces, and that would be Neptune and Jupiter. So for you in the transits, Jupiter, which is where the benefit comes in, Jupiter being in Gemini, which is all about communication, the words we speak, the things we write, that kind of stuff, written, spoken, thought, learning, anything that you hear. But I think it's all the things that you say and do about yourself in terms of your career, your everyday work, that's going to be of benefit to you. But there's some sort of ending up here. Not exactly sure what kind of ending it is. Let me see. Oh, I remember now. I forgot to point out your Jupiter over here in the 8th house of other people's money. So you have had a lot of benefit in terms of other people's money in your life, meaning other people have supported you probably quite a bit in your life. That's not really a bad thing. That can mean that especially because you've got Jupiter in Capricorn, that can just mean that you have very benevolent bosses, right? It could mean that you've had spouses who had money and they were, able to support you very capably. But because Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, everything that happens over here affects you up here. Also, everything that happens over here affects you up here. So when we're looking at Neptune in Sagittarius in the 6th house, what that tells me is that, there can be a little bit of confusion about like what it is that you want to do in your day to day, especially being in Sagittarius. Sagittarius likes adventure and variety. Sagittarius likes to explore, and Neptune can be kind of dreamy. That like there can be a lot of fantasy attached to it. So for you probably spend a lot of time fantasizing day to day about all the possibilities, all the places you can go, the things you can do, the people you can meet, things like that, right? Like that's very important to you. It's also very spiritual for you as well. All of those people and places and things that you can learn from them, because it's Sagittarius that your Neptune is in. The dream, the fantasy job for you is to be able to like probably travel the world and learn from people and places everywhere, right? I don't know if you can actually do that or not. But there's something that's changing up here that's probably going to force you to analyze what it is that you need to do in order to get to that place, right? If this is what you really want, if this is really the dream for you, what can you do to get there? You do have Neptune making a trine to the North Node up here. And it's actually by very wide orb, and only by like sign really, but also to Chiron. So having Chiron in Aries, this is like a wound that is centered around your friendships, your social circle, but also like a wound to your sense of being, right? Because Aries is all about who am I, right? Who do I present to the world in some way, shape, or form? So whenever you heal that part of yourself, because that's a wound with Chiron is always a wound inside of yourself that you need to overcome or heal. And once you do that, you can use that wisdom to help others heal from it as well, especially because you've got Chiron here in the 11th house. That gives you like leadership abilities to help others heal. So there's a good trine or a good flow of energy between your Neptune and Sag and your Chiron and Aries. It's very healing for you to go and, travel and do things like that. But you may not be able to always afford it or whatever. It may not be realistic, because that's another thing about Neptune. Neptune isn't always realistic. Like you say, it's fantasy. It's a dream. So going back to this eclipse and what it's bringing for you, it's number one, taking you back to what was happening between 2015, March of 2015 to March of 2016. What were the themes in play for you around your public or career or work at that time? But also it could have been around your relationships with other people as well. And the reason that I say this is because if I was to look at this in whole sign, you have Sagittarius ruling your seventh house, which puts Neptune in your seventh house. And because Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, that will pull your seventh house Sagittarian energy into it. So this is around your partners, what you do on a day-to-day basis, probably for work or even to heal yourself in some way, shape, or form, because it's connected up here to Chiron. And how can you do it realistically? Because there's something ending up here in your 10th house. It's something that has to do with either your public persona, your reputation, or even it could involve your father here, because it's the 10th house. Or if it's not your father, it's whichever parent took on the role of like disciplinarian, the one that taught you how to be responsible in the world. Something with that, where there's an ending in that situation that's sparking a new beginning, because this ending is a final ending. Like I was saying in the introduction, it's themes that you were dealing with between March of 2015 to March of 2016. You thought it was over. And then probably in the last 6 months, it's been kind of rearing its head again, right? And so, now you really have to deal with it. Or now it's really going to be over and there's some sort of new beginning with that. And again, you need to use your spiritual vision. Like, what is it that heals you? What is it that makes you feel the most fulfilled over here? And how can you achieve that in a realistic way? That's going to be the catch. So, it says, I put in my notes here, choose wisely how you want that to go. Because, this next cycle, let me look at my dates. This next cycle, or the next eclipses that are going to be happening in Pisces and Virgo won't be for a few years. Hold on, let me look. They will be... actually, the next one, the future eclipse dates to note. We have a solar eclipse in Pisces, but the thing about eclipses, it's typically a lunar eclipse that's going to affect the people as a whole, like the collective, the people as a whole, more so than a solar eclipse. A solar eclipse is going to have more to do with the power, right? Those who are in charge or the leadership in some way, shape, or form. Now, unless you have placements there where the actual solar eclipse falls, then you will feel the effects of it, because it's triggering or it's hitting one of it's activating one of your placements in your chart. But the next solar eclipse in Pisces is March of 2025. So that'll be the first start for the new beginning of whatever this is here. Like I say, you're wrapping something up and it's starting a new beginning, but this new beginning is something you have to decide, and you've got to be very wise about the decision that you make and how you want to spend your time each day, because this is going to be for a long-term period. We have September the 7th, 2025, a lunar eclipse in Pisces. It says these eclipses will introduce a new cycle of growth and change in the area of life ruled by Pisces for you. Let's see. And then the Virgo Pisces axis might not see eclipses again until roughly around 2033. So if you need to begin something new, the time to begin it is now. Because whatever it is going to be a long-term thing that won't be able to start again in this area of your life until around 2033. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards for you. Man, I feel like it's this top one. It says, "Today I am free of drama. Today I will let go of the people that do not support me and only surround myself with positive people." Interesting. Let's get you some cards. Oh, I'll tell you in a minute what those cards were. Just give me one more second to shuffle. All right. So you had the Strength card with the Five of Cups in the reverse. And it was saying you have the strength to overcome regret, sorrow, disappointment, all of those things. I just didn't say it at the time just because I want to try and get through this video quickly, try and keep it less than 2 hours. I did not look at the bottom of the deck. So we have the High Priestess. Follow your intuition. There's some sort of secret information or knowledge that you weren't. Not recognition as well. Follow your intuition. There's some sort of recognition coming for you that you weren't even aware of. Like literally when the High Priestess covers it, it's in your blind spot. Like you're not seeing it yet, but it's coming. It's going to make you feel really good, emotional, right? Look at the happy face on the coffee cup, a little heart on there. And then we've got the Judgment card. It's something that will help you to ascend. Especially, like if we're talking about all of this energy over here of, how you want to spend your time each day, it's really going to help you feel really good, like peaceful. Look at the halo, and like you're going to feel like it's your calling in some way, whatever it is. There's some sort of something good, some sort of recognition coming in here. Three of Pentacles, collaboration, working with someone else. And then the Emperor, some sort of boss or something in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And then interesting that we have the Eight of Pentacles here, mastering your craft, working on something, right? Knight of Wands with the Page of Swords. All right. So you've got two people here, first of all. They aren't really looking at each other, though. Like maybe they're not really connected or they're not aware of each other or something. This Knight of Wands is looking at you, and it could be like maybe there's some sort of, like if you are looking for a new job, if you're looking for like a new path or something, there might be some sort of collaboration. Wands is fire energy, and we did see the Emperor card on the bottom of the deck, so it could be a fire sign, possibly an Aries. If not an actual Aries, this is just someone who's like a boss, right? Maybe your boss is going to recognize you in some way after the eclipse. But then you've got the Page of Swords. It's like news that's coming in of like a fresh start. Sometimes it can also be a card of like someone's watching you. And I really kind of feel like someone's either been watching you, someone's admiring you, maybe also because the stars that are here. Someone, or maybe whoever this person is that's been watching you and admiring you, they also said something in your defense. And that could be or they spoke up for you in some way. And like that could be part of what is all of this, where there's some sort of recognition that you're just not seeing yet, that's going to make you feel really happy in some way, like someone says something good about you or something. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here, and we'll move on to chart number 4. Get my screen set. Okay, chart number 4. Here we have, it's hitting your 10th house. And this one I wrote a new spiritual study question mark. Are you getting ready to either study something like spiritual, or are you getting ready to teach kids maybe? Okay, with the eclipse hitting up here, I don't know why my cursor, I can't tell if it's hitting right. Anyway, right up here up here in the 10th house. So that means there might be some sort of ending around your public reputation, how your career, how you go out into the world to gather resources and bring them home. There might even be some sort of ending that is in regards to like a father figure in some way, shape, or form. And this could be connected to some issue that began around March 2015 or sometime between that and March 2016. Maybe you thought it was over, or things were kind of peaceful, or things were steady. And then for the last 6 months, issues have started to come up again. Maybe it's just that you're feeling restless and like spiritually you want to start studying some things. The reason that I say that is because we have Jupiter coming into the 12th house. Well, first of all, Jupiter in the 12th house it's a really good transit. It's even better if you have it in your natal chart, but it's actually a good transit because it brings optimism, right? So if you've been stuck in your head, worried about things like 12th house issues can be things that are happening behind the scenes, right? Things that are can either be a blessing or a curse. Things that you dream of, things that you fantasize about, or things that you worry about, things that might need to be healed in some way, things that have to do with hospitalization or institutionalization or imprisonment in some way, right? Feeling imprisoned, trapped in your mind. But Jupiter can either expand that or bring optimism. I think it's going to bring optimism because you've got the trine between Jupiter and Venus in the transits. So they're working together. Venus is coming in, transiting through your 4th house through Libra. Even though you don't have any placements there, you have everybody has all 12 signs of the zodiac in their chart. That's one misconception that most people don't understand. They think, oh, I'm a Libra, I don't have any Virgo in my chart. Yes, you do. You are all signs. You have all 12 signs somewhere in your chart. Even if you don't have a planet or placement in that sign, you still express that energy when you're dealing with the issues that come through in that house. And so when you have Gemini in the 12th house, you probably get stuck in your head when you're worried about things that are either a blessing or a curse. There are so many different possibilities, like different ways that things can be handled, right? You think about it a lot. You might even get a little bit maudlin just because, but maybe not. Gemini can be anxious sometimes. That's why I say you might get a little bit depressed. And the 12th house is, it's a house of endings, and it's also a solitary house, right? So maybe if you're alone with your thoughts, they could be whatever, but Jupiter coming through here is going to bring some sort of optimism. Like they boost your thoughts. They make you feel optimistic at this time, particularly about spiritual issues, because this is a full moon eclipse, right? And it's in Pisces. The full moon is in Pisces. So it's a culmination of something that probably began, some sort of interest or issue that probably began for you around 2015, 2016, March to March, that maybe you thought was settled in some way, or at least it was peaceful or done in some way, but then it started to rear its ugly head over the last 6 months, or you started to see parts of it come back up, right? Now you've got to deal with it, or it's going to be finalized with this eclipse. And then that brings some sort of new chapter that has to do with, again, your 10th house and the issues around your career, your reputation, your public persona, who you are when you're out in the world, gathering resources that you bring back home. So let's look at your natal Jupiter, which happens to be in Pisces in the ninth house, which I love because like Jupiter rules Pisces. Again, Pisces is very spiritual, and Jupiter expands things, and Jupiter lives in the ninth house naturally. Like that's where he's comfortable. And so he's not only is Jupiter comfortable in Pisces in your natal chart, he's also comfortable in the ninth house. So you're probably love to learn and educate yourself. You also, this makes you very, very wise. You've probably, a lot of the education that you've embarked upon spiritually has to do with healing your own higher self, because you're probably very empathetic when it comes, like you probably feel other people's emotions very acutely, right? There's also an early childhood wound connected to your belief system, your creativity around that belief system, in some way, shape, or form, because this is in the ninth house, and Chiron is, the wound that we have within ourselves that we are meant to heal and work through, and then we take that wisdom and share it with other people. And having Jupiter in the ninth house, that's like a placement for the professor, or like a guru or a spiritual leader, or leading in some way, shape, or form spiritually. Now, your other ruler of Pisces, the natal ruler of Pisces for you, is Neptune in Scorpio in the fifth house. So, the fifth house is a house of all things creative. This can be anything that you create, from a child to a business to art to, anything that you create. This is also where we date. Anything that brings joy comes into this house. So having Neptune in here, it can be very creative as well, just because Neptune, if Neptune, if Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, think of things that are modern, like video, right? Television, things like that, pictures, that type of thing. Whereas, traditionally Pisces is all about God, right? So putting these two things together, maybe teaching children. That's why I was asking, like, maybe you're thinking about teaching or teaching children in some way, because that's one of the things that you would find in the fifth house. You do have the sun here. You actually have this whole stellium of Scorpio right here. So you're very deep. You do have Venus in Scorpio, which can be, she's in her detriment. So there can be a lot of wounds around like love and intimacy and relationships, but also like intuitive, intuitively, the way that you speak when you're engaging in creative pursuits, right? Just because of the way the stellium is happening. But the way that I was seeing this chart, let me look at my notes real quick. I was saying that I said, for you, this eclipse could bring a change or ending of some kind around your career or reputation. For you specifically, you're probably known for being very creative, compassionate, and wise. You might be even known for being a little bit aggressive about money, or when it comes to making money. But there's something changing here around that. And the reason that I say that is because you do have Mars over here at 17 degrees of Leo. And so Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. You've got Neptune in Scorpio. And then you've also got the sun over here in Scorpio involved in this stellium, meaning, so the sun is going to be important here. So your sun is ruled by Mars, and your Mars happens to be in Leo, meaning they're in mutual reception. And your Mars is also at a Leo degree, meaning a Leo degree is what you're known for in the chart or in the world. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be famous, but it means what people notice about you, or what you're known for, like I say. So you might be known for those things, but that's changing now because something's happening with your career or reputation. And there's part of what this changes, it's coming from deep inside of you. And I say that because of all of this here: Neptune, Venus, Mercury, and the sun, or your soul, being in Scorpio, a very deep, intense, intuitive, introspective sign. they're also very private too. But um, I think with your North Node in Leo and Mars in Leo, you may overcome that. Let's say, especially because all of your Scorpio energy is in a Leo house, and Leo tends to get attention or catch attention in some way. Plus, if you're already very creative, you've got a lot of trines, or a lot of positive energy in your chart, but you do have this one square over here from your sun to your moon, which means that the way that you are showing yourself, like the way that you feel, and the way that you're communicating the way that you feel is not necessarily it's there's a challenge to it in terms of like the way that you're communicating how you feel, and that's because you feel so deeply, because of all of this Scorpio energy. But anyway, what I was saying was, and that's the reason that it's coming from deep inside of you, this change about how you make money. I said, it's this, you have this need to explore and understand the meaning of life and all of its mysteries. Jupiter is boosting your optimism, and you may start studying metaphysics or teaching children about your spiritual practices in some way, shape, or form. Let's see. Let's go ahead and pull you some cards just to see what your affirmation for the day is, for the eclipse, I should say, is. One more. It says, today I will express myself. Today I will express my feelings openly and honestly by writing them down and reading them aloud, which really makes sense when you have all that Scorpio energy on the 5th house, because Scorpio likes to be private and Leo is public. And, that can cause a conflict, right? And especially when it comes to expressing your emotions. That was what I was trying to say when I was trying to describe the square between your sun and moon. Let's go ahead and get you some cards. Like when I look at your chart, it feels to me like you've been able to use your connection to your spirituality to heal yourself, and in some way, shape, or form, you want to share that either with your children or children in general, or you want to share it in a creative way. And so, yeah, I feel like this eclipse is kind of bringing that to the forefront, or maybe helping you do that. That might be where, this new beginning is coming in, especially because Jupiter going through your 12th house is bringing some optimism. Or excuse me, did I say 12th house? That's what I meant. It's bringing optimism there. And you probably like to study stuff behind the scenes with that Gemini in the 12th house. Like wherever Gemini energy is in your chart, that's going to be where you study things on your own, or you learn on your own by thinking it through, or whatever the case may be. So anyway, it's just the way that it was hitting me intuitively. You'll have to let me know. Oh, that one flipped. Hold on. Oh, we got 1, 2, 3 right there. And actually, I feel like I want to read them this way. So I love this like 4 of Cups, even though typically the 4 of Cups is a card of like boredom, right? It's like a card of, oh, been there, done that. The party's been going on way too long. I'm over it. And look at the 5 of Wands is a card of like competition. 10 of Pentacles has to do with legacy, competition for legacy or security, like long-term family legacy that you can pass down, right? Strength. I love these two together. Again, this is really, look at all of that. Two of Cups. Like you really want to pass down everything that you've learned. Look at all of that to your family specifically, because you've got the Ten of Cups here. That's what this card is. It's like the happily ever after. Usually when you see the Ten of Cups, it's like you'll see the couple together. They've been married for a while or whatever, or like it's the card of their of marriage. Whereas this one is more a card of long-term family legacy. If you were to look at the family in terms of this card, you would see the grandparents, the parents, the children, and so on, right? So yeah, just based on what's on the bottom of the deck, it's really confirming what I was saying there, about some sort of legacy that you want to pass down. And then we have the Ace of Wands. It's a new idea, probably to get you out of this slump, because I love this Four of Cups. Look at all the happy faces. And it feels to me like ideas as well, like ideas coming in, or different, something, some sort of new. Because typically with the Four of Cups, it comes after the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is a party or celebration. A lot of times that party can involve like a drink of some type, right? You've got some sort of alcoholic drink, and yet in this Four of Cups, it's all coffee. So definitely the party is over. Now let's get on to something more solid and stable, when you've got the Queen of Pentacles here coming in to the right-hand side, which is the future position. And look at how it looks like there's books down here. So again, I don't know if these are actually books or not. These feel like coins to me, but these kind of look like books. And so, again, that's like knowledge that's being passed down, maybe even money that's being passed down in some way to either your children or your grandchildren or something. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and leave this one here. I hope that resonates. And move on to chart number 5. Okay, chart number 5. The eclipse is hitting your 8th house. So this is the house of like shared resources, intimacy, death, like deep psychological introspection, that type of thing, like really, really deep intimacy. All right. So let me look at my notes really quick. Intimacy and other people's money. So there could be something ending here. Also, debts, taxes, inheritance, things like that are other. Those are other things that you would find in this house. What did I put on my notes for you? Oh, so I put for you, even though you have this happening in your 8th house, that you have a blessing or a wish granted. And the reason for that is because Jupiter is going to be transiting your 11th house. This is your house of friendships, also your hopes and wishes. It's the house where you receive the reward for the effort that you put in up here in the 10th house of career. So if this is a house of like debt or taxes or joint resources, and you're receiving some reward from something up here, it could be related to a financial something or other. If this has to do with an ending around intimacy with someone else, like maybe there could be a friend that maybe you are no longer close with, and so you've decided that, well, maybe it's better to just end this friendship, and then boom, here comes another friend on the heels of that, right? It could also be that maybe you're in debt, right? And you learn how to get yourself out of debt because of the information that someone gives you that's in your friend circle, or, extended family, or something that you learn online in some way, shape, or form, with this particular, where Jupiter is transiting. Neptune, again, it's right there next to the moon that's transiting your eighth house. So this has to do with, either confusion over these matters or some sort of dream or fantasy or hope or wish that you had surrounding these things that I've already talked about. But let's look at your natal Jupiter and Neptune. So natally, you happen to have Neptune in the third house, unless we look at it in whole sign. In whole sign, it would be in the fourth house. But I like to go between whole sign and Placidus for a couple of reasons. In whole sign, to me, it's like looking at like the blueprint. Like, let's say you're going to go and you're going to have an architect draw up some plans for a house that you want built, right? They're going to send you a 2D blueprint. It gives you a pretty good idea of the foundation, what it's going to look like, where everything's going to be, how big it's going to be, so on and so forth, right? Well, once you have the house built, or once you start building the house, things change a little bit. You might have to move this over here, make this a little bit smaller, change one thing here to something else because it wasn't available for whatever reason. And that's sort of what Placidus does. Placidus refines the chart, and it's sort of like the house after it's been built, right? You get all of the details then. And so for your specific chart, you happen to have Neptune in Scorpio in the third house, which just says that you have a very creative, intense, deep way of expressing yourself. That could come through in the form of art, or it could just come through in very creative words. Like, maybe you Scorpio can be kind of intense sometimes. So maybe you find creative ways to make people feel a certain way, right? Whether that's for good or bad. There are other things in your chart like Saturn and conjunct Mars that tell me you might be a little bit of a taskmaster sometimes, but maybe not. You'll have to tell me. But your other Pisces ruler, which is Jupiter, happens to be in Virgo in your first house, and it's conjunct not by sign but by degree to Pluto in Leo, which is your ascendant, right? So this is really important because like Pluto and Leo, this can be a good or bad placement. Like you can have, cult leaders with this placement, especially conjunct Jupiter, but I don't think you're necessarily a cult leader. I think for you with this Pluto and Leo, it's like you can really be a leader with Pluto. You know who has Pluto and Leo? The dude who runs Russia, Putin. He's got and I think it's in his 10th house. So it's literally his public persona. He is 1000%, the leader, and he don't take no BS from anybody, right? But when you put it together with Jupiter, this means just like spiritually, you can be a leader. And so, when it comes to how you express yourself, right? You express yourself very creatively, and you have the power to express yourself in a very spiritual way as a leader for the people that you share resources with, right? Or maybe the people in your immediate environment, like siblings, people around home, because Scorpio does rule the fourth house, whole sign. So around home, family, as well as yourself, right? The things that you've learned, you can help those other people in your home, family, community to learn as well in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like whatever's happening up here, whatever's ending up here for you, and bringing in this new beginning in the form of either a new friend or new information, right? That is what brings about this new beginning over here in terms of how you're expressing yourself when it comes to those things, whether in intimate situations or in shared resource situations. What I said in my notes here was you have a strong need to be of service and great leadership qualities. Your chart and the transits tell me you may receive a blessing or a wish regarding eighth house issues. And these issues probably started sometime around March 2015 through to March 2016. I say This wish or blessing comes from either your friends, your extended family, your social circle, or as the reward for the hard work that you put in the 10th house. This eclipse concludes that chapter, and then it starts a new one that has to do with 8th house issues. Again, 8th house issues are around joint resources, taxes, debts, inheritance, intimacy, shared spaces, that type of thing. Let's see. Support from others, etc. It says you have Neptune and Scorpio in the 3rd house. You're very creative, expressive, and intuitive, but it is ruled by Mars in Scorpio. And you may completely change the way you express yourself after this eclipse. You may even go into service like counseling or mentoring, something to do with speaking or writing or sharing your knowledge in a deep, meaningful way. Also, if you do any type of art, like whatever, any type of artistic, anything that you do, sharing it in a deep, meaningful way will be very beneficial for you. I think maybe your friends might be able to help you. Like there could be word of mouth as well with that because of Jupiter, like they could talk you up in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, there's some sort of blessing. There's some sort of ending over here that is emotional. It might be a little bit difficult, but then it brings in some sort of blessing in the form of either information, communication, or maybe a new friend, that helps you out. And then beyond that, I think the new beginning is going to be around how you express yourself. I think you're going to completely change the way that you express yourself after this. Okay. So let me get you some cards. Oh. So it's been an hour and 19 minutes so far, and I'm getting ready to be on number 6. So hopefully that means this will be, less than 2 hours for the video. It says, today I am special. What did I do? I hope I'm still... Okay, yeah. Today I am special. Today I will realize that I am a unique, one-of-a-kind person, especially if you write or you want to write or speak or share your experience in some way, shape, or form. Your experience with like spiritual issues. One thing about Jupiter in Virgo, all aspects have a positive and negative side to them. All planets do. Like Jupiter doesn't just bring in blessings, it can also make things bigger, right? And being in conjunction to Pluto can bring like obsession or a need to control a need to control the details, the fine details of something. And, just be aware of that. Like that's the thing that you want to avoid, right? Because that's when Jupiter is in a, toxic energy in Virgo, getting so caught up in the details that you no longer allow that creative healing expression to flow. That's where the megalomania and the cult leader aspect could come in of the Pluto Jupiter. Even though the good thing is that your Jupiter is not in Leo, but the bad thing is that it's in Virgo and it could cause you to get caught up in the details. Okay, so we have the 7 of Swords, some sort of deception, the 2 of Pentacles, and it could be around money, right? And the balance of the books, especially because we're talking about shared or joint resources. We got the 2 of Pentacles. 2 of Pentacles is like juggling. Oh, and then look, the 9 of Wands. So the 9 of Wands is like, it's like a feeling, it's like a feeling of, like I can't go on. It's like the card of Chiron. Like there needs to be a healing over whatever. Like you're waiting for reinforcements. You're waiting for someone to come in and help you in some way, shape, or form. You've been trying to hold the line, keep the things balanced for so long, and it's been probably a struggle in some way. Whatever this deception was. Also, another thing about the Seven of Swords, it's not always just about deception. Sometimes it's about not being able to take everything with you. Like maybe you're trying to carry too much. That could be another reason that the Two of Pentacles is coming out, because when we're talking about balance or juggling, right? And also feeling like you can't go on the way that you are anymore, it could be because you're trying to carry too much of a load and some of it needs to be lightened. So that could be what the deception is. Maybe you've been lying to yourself because your Pluto and Jupiter makes you want to pay attention to the details and maintain control, right? And maybe you need to let some stuff go. Also, look at all the stars. I love the fact that this particular deck has stars with the wands. So it's like stars to me are always like you're shining, you're doing something good, right? You're shining. We do have the Queen of Cups on the bottom of the deck. You might be feeling, emotional, but also pretty good. Look at Judgment, you're ascending, Knight of Cups, and then Justice. Ace of Swords is truth and victory. The Tower, look at how the Tower is winking. Like typically the Tower card, you'll see the Tower crumbling, and this Tower just looks like some blocks that are shaking a little bit. So like literally, again, there's some sort of blessing coming in for you. I think it's going to make you feel like good emotional, whereas maybe before you were feeling the stressed emotional that the Queen of Cups would typically talk about, right? But in particular, in this deck, whatever this, where you're feeling like you can't go on, like there might be some sort of relief because somebody, like the Knight of Cups, like here's the coffee cup, like whoever this was, they're offering you this coffee cup. And look at the stars coming out of the coffee cup. So again, that's like stars are about healing and shining, right? Shining bright, talent, right? Being gifted. So again, you're being gifted with justice or balance, truth, victory. Maybe somebody thought you were going to crumble, but they're the ones that crumble instead, or I don't know, something, or maybe you're prepared for whatever, like somebody tries to take you down. That could be another thing of the deception over here. Somebody tried to lie or to say something to take you down, and it didn't do anything but just rock the blocks a little bit. You guys are they're going to fall back into place. Look at that. Like these blocks are going to fall right back into place. Follow your intuition, especially when you've got the moon coming after the high priestess together. And if you're dealing with an air sign, Aries, Libra, Aquarius, or someone who's very strategic, right? Did I say Aries? I meant to say Gemini, but Aries could be involved as well. But no, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or someone who's very strategic. And you maybe because I want to point out the sword, like the sword is down, they're not really wanting to fight, but they are prepared to fight when the sword is there. So maybe that's the reason that I'm feeling Aries energy with this, because Aries energy is Mars energy. They're always the first ones to like they're the first ones to throw the punch, right? They strike the first blow. And then you've got temperance, balance. So this person might be striking the first blow for balance and independence. And then look at this Four of Cups again. I don't know if you're watching the other reading that this came out, but I feel like this particular Four of Cups, because they are all smiling. Typically the Four of Cups is about boredom, but every image here is happy. So there's some sort of new reinvigoration coming, to reignite something, like make you inspire in some way. And then look at Ace of Wands, new idea. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. We're going to move on to chart number 6. I did that wrong. Okay. Chart number 6 has this eclipse happening in the 11th house. So chart number 6, there's a possibility you might be losing a friend or a social group or something about a friend or social group or something you do online, some sort of reward that you were receiving as the result of the effort that you put in here, or some sort of hope or wish is either ending or concluding in some way right now, but it's bringing another blessing in. And whatever this blessing in, it's going to hit you in your second house, which is the house of like money, comfort, values, valuables, right? What you're attracted to, what is attractive about you, that type of thing. So let me look at my notes really quick. What I said for your little note was, oh, this one is leading to a more independent role for you. Yeah, and that might not be as easy as you think. And the reason that I say that is because you happen to have your Chiron in Pisces at 13 degrees, and it's making a conjunction to Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn is retrograde right now. And so Saturn restricts, right? So the thing about Chiron and Pisces, so Chiron is a wound that needs to be healed, right? And then once you heal this wound, you can take that wisdom and then share it with others to help them along the path to healing, right? So Pisces is so very compassionate, right? You can feel the pain of others. Being in the 11th house, you probably, either feel the pain of your social groups, your friend groups. Maybe you've been hurt by your friends and you've had to learn from that. Maybe you've been hurt by the loss of dreams or wishes before, and it's something that you've had to move on from, and now you can help other people along that path in some way. Like I say, we do have transiting Jupiter coming into your second house. So this probably has to do with either your money or your values or what brings you comfort in some way. And, spiritual values can bring a lot of people, they bring me comfort. So that could be the thing that brings you comfort, right? But there's some sort of restriction that you're feeling over that. And so whatever, and it's coming from your social circle or something that has to do with the 11th house in some way. And so there's an ending surrounding that. And if we look to your natal, Jupiter and Neptune, you've got Jupiter here in the 12th house in Aries. This is a very good placement for Jupiter, in my opinion, just because it brings optimism to things that are happening behind the scenes for you, right? Like, it can bring blessings and healing as well into this house, because this can be a house of either your undoing or your blessings, right? But also you happen to have Neptune over here in Scorpio in the 6th house. So if we put these two together, Jupiter transiting your second house, Neptune in the 6th house, the 6th house is all about what you're doing with your time each day. And, most people, if they have like jobs or, whatever, you're going to find the issues with their job right here in this house. If you don't have a job, you're like a stay-at-home mom, or maybe you're sick and you can't go to work right now. That's going to be found in this house right here as well. But having Neptune in Scorpio, this is a very deep, you probably go very deep, especially for your own mental health. And it's making a trine up here to your Chiron in Pisces. And you've got Jupiter over here in Aries, which kind of makes you very independent, but also optimistic. I don't know, this feels like you've been able to heal yourself, right? On a day-to-day basis. And you're whatever healing work you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you're able to use that to heal others. But there's been some sort of restriction surrounding that, meaning it's bringing about some sort of ending, but it's going to be to your benefit in another way, either financially or again spiritually, because it connects to your values. And it'll come in the form of communication in some way. Like you'll hear some good news. You'll find out, you'll learn something that'll help you, with whatever is going on here in your second house. Again, that's money, your values, what you find attractive, that type of thing, what brings you comfort, anything that's in your bank account, right? So yeah, Jupiter expands all of these things. And so anytime it goes through the second house, it's always going to be a positive thing, especially because you don't really have anything. And you have Mars here. So you've probably been putting in a lot of work, maybe working from home in some way as well, because Mars is transiting Cancer. Maybe you've probably been putting in a lot of work at home behind the scenes around something that's going to bring you more independence. And the reason that I think that it might be hard for you is because I think you're used to being in a group. I think you're used to healing in a group. But it's going to be a more independent thing for you from now on. Let me see what else I wrote. Okay, so I said, this eclipse hits your 11th house of friendships, social groups, extended family, hopes, wishes, and the rewards you receive from the work you put in to the 10th house. Transiting Jupiter in your second house with natal Neptune in Mars in the 6th and natal Jupiter in Aries in the 12th says that you may be ending a friendship or leaving a group that began maybe sometime in March 2015 through March 2016. This could be around the healing work that you do. It could bring you a fresh start financially, as it may propel you into a more independent place. With Jupiter in your 12th house, you are seeking meaning in life from deep within yourself, and you likely found it in this group or situation, but it is time to tap into your potential to be a spiritual leader. Your natal Jupiter is part of a T-square involving the nodes, meaning that your purpose in this life is connected to this, and your specific purpose in this life is to learn how to express your emotions with humility and honesty so that you can nurture and heal others with your wisdom. This is meant to feel uncomfortable because we have to step outside of our comfort zone. Again, like I say, I think your comfort zone lies in healing within groups of like spiritual leaders in some way because of where your Chiron is up here in Pisces. But you have your North Node in Cancer in the 3rd house. And that's where your attention is supposed to be like, not that your North Node talks about your purpose in terms of career. What your North Node talks about is your purpose in this life. What is the lesson you were meant to learn in this life? Whether that's connected to your career or not, only you know, based on what is going on in your life. But because this T-square is making a connection to Chiron in Aries in the transits, which is connected to your Jupiter in Aries in the 12th house, right? And that's what's happening today, right now, during the eclipse. And Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, which is where the eclipse is happening. This tells me that more than likely you're not comfortable being independent when it comes to being a spiritual leader in some way. But it says that, maybe you've learned how to do this over these last years, and it's time for you to step into this next chapter. Particularly because when I pulled the chart for the eclipse today, it put Aries on the ascendant. I pulled it for everyone in the Los Angeles area. The ascendant might be different in different cities, but for the chart that I was looking at, it put Aries on the ascendant, which is a real new beginning. And because this is the culmination of things that began in 2015, 2016, meaning they're coming to a conclusion, you're definitely going to be starting over in the same area, just a new chapter anyway. So let's go ahead and pull some cards for you. And see what else I want to say. Oh, I feel like that one right there on the top wants to come out the way that it floated. Today I feel worthy. Today I will accept all the wonderful things in this life. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background. My dad's watching TV in the other room and it's kind of loud. Somebody was just screaming. So if it sounds weird in the background, that's all it was. Oh. Okay. So you have the Seven of Wands on the bottom of the deck. Are you feeling defensive about something? Do you need to stand up for yourself in some way? It's very possible. Also, given what we just talked about, you have some sort of belief or, the Seven of Wands is about having the upper hand, the higher ground, the moral high ground in some way, shape, or form. But it's also it's about being willing to stand behind what you believe in. So take that how it resonates for the situation. Look at, you've got choices with the Seven of Cups, a lot of different choices, and they all have smiley faces. This particular deck seems to be a very happy, cheerful deck. So we do have the Five of Swords. There is some a sense of defeat or maybe a little bit of regret when you have the Five of Swords here. Like you might feel defeated in some way, or like maybe that, especially because the way they've got them situated here, it feels like maybe you feel like somebody's opposing you or something. Maybe that could be what that Saturn to Chiron restriction is, and it could be saying that for your own personal growth, that could be the reason that you need to step out of either this group or leave this friend or something to that effect. Look at the Knight of Cups. This is someone offering you something heartfelt, something emotional, something that is healing, something that could be a gift in some way. And look at Justice, brings in balance. And then you have the Three of Pentacles, collaboration, working together with the King of Cups. Interesting that it went from the Knight of Cups to the King of Cups. Ooh, and then the Death card, and then the Six of Wands, and then the Page of Wands, and then the Empress. Okay, all positive. The Death card is like, it could either be the card of Scorpio, that could be King of Cups, somebody who's a Scorpio, or it could be an actual ending that brings recognition. Like one thing ends, you get recognition, a brand new idea, brand new something, a brand new plan, right? With an Empress, or to grow, a plan for growth, to set down burdens, because all of these stars in this particular deck with the wands, these don't really feel like burdens. These feels like a celebration in a way. So to me, if you're talking about a celebration, when you're looking at the Ten of Wands, this is being happy that you got to set down burdens because of some sort of strategy or plan. And then again, there's like competition, but it's like friendly competition, definitely. Okay, let's look at the actual cards, because I could like read forever. I love this stuff. We've got the Nine of Wands. Okay, interesting. I love this. So it goes from feeling, oh, I can't go on, I can't keep doing this, right? I need help, I need reinforcements with the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is very stable, secure. Like the boss. This is someone who owns their own business, and I think that's you. You're becoming the King of Pentacles. And then the Four of Wands is something to celebrate. This is literally something to celebrate. You might be going into business for yourself, literally. Stand on, like, stand behind your beliefs. Definitely go into business for yourself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave that here. And let's move on to chart number 7. Okay, chart number 7 had a specific question. Let me look at my notes. So this is happening in your 3rd house, and I wrote in my notes, getting to know your partner. So chart number 7 had a specific question. Chart number 7 wants to know if this partner, it's a new partner, if there is a chance for actual commitment. And so that reminds me that I was going to look at this chart in a completely different way, because I actually read it in a tri-wheel instead of. So let's do chart number 7. And then this is going to be the partner, chart number 11. And then how is the lunar eclipse affecting you guys? Okay, because I didn't do, this person didn't have the time of the partner, so I couldn't do like a composite and all the other stuff I would do. So anyway, this is how we're going to read it. All right. So this eclipse is hitting chart number 7's 3rd house of communication. And I'm just going to read you my notes really quick. I put, and because your question involves romance, or more specifically, is there a chance for commitment with my current partner? Then what we're going to do is we're going to focus on how this eclipse can change your communication style and practice for the better. Now, the reason that I said that, okay, the reason that I said that is because of 2 placements that you have in your chart that are connected to your Pisces. And give me 1 second to orient myself and find them here. Number 1, you've got Jupiter in Cancer in the 8th house. Okay. So this can manifest itself in a couple of ways. It can mean that you've had spouses in the past who supported you, who maybe they had some money and they were able to support you, very comfortably. You see that there's no actual aspect sitting here in the center. And so this isn't me reading your natal chart. This is just me. I did do a quick look at your natal chart, but just remember, this is a very quick reading, okay? But beyond that, okay, because this is talking about your communication style, and Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and your Jupiter happens to be in Cancer in the 8th house. What that means is, if we're talking about your communication style, you tend to communicate through trying to nurture people. Like, you want to either cook for them, you want to talk to them about their problems, you want to sort of be mothering to them in some way, shape, or form. And there's nothing wrong with that. People love that. It's actually a very good communication style. It's just the way that it's hitting this particular chart here. There's something about that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But first, before we do that, let's next go to Neptune, because Neptune is the other ruler of Pisces. So Neptune is the other area of your chart that's going to give us a little bit of an idea of how you communicate, or what your communication style is, right? So having Neptune in Scorpio in the 11th house tells me that you're very idealistic, first of all, and you're very deep. You have dreams and fantasies of not only how you think your friendships and your social circles should be. You sort of have this sort of naivety a little bit about your friends and social circles. But also, like I say, when we're talking about love relationships, if you're talking with your friends, and let's say you're dating someone and they happen to hear you or overhear you talking with your friends, and you're talking about all of these ideals of what you want in a relationship, and you're getting really deep and intense about it, that's something else that we need to talk or look at when we're talking about in a newer relationship and you're wondering about commitment, right? Because you said you're 5 months in, I think, in the relationship, and that's not, it's not a long time, but it's not a short amount of time either. It's time enough to start to get to know somebody and to start to wonder some of these things. Is there any potential for commitment at all, right? It's just, I'm giving you a little bit of a warning here because eclipses tend to be chaotic, right? You never really know if it's going to bring good or bad. But this specific eclipse is the end of a cycle that started sometime between March of 2015 through March of 2016. You might have thought that it was settled or over, it's ended in some way, but now it's rearing its head again, right? Or you might have thought you made some decision about what you wanted in a relationship, and now all of a sudden this new person is bringing that into question. You just never know, right? And so again, if you're talking to your friends, sorry, you're here, he's got his Neptune in Scorpio too, but we don't know if this is his actual house placement, so I can't say the same thing about him. We're looking at just your house placements when we look at this chart. So if you're talking to your friends and he happens to be around and hearing you while you guys are out and about and socializing, which is another 11th house thing, right? Or you're talking to your extended family or whatever, or you're talking about your hopes and wishes and dreams with him specifically, try not to get too intense. And I'll explain to you why in just a minute. So let's look at some of the indicators that are in the chart that would speak to compatibility or maybe commitment, right? And for that, I'm going to look over here to, we've got Venus, we've got Mars, oh, excuse me, that's in the transits. We've got Venus to North Node in his chart. He's got a conjunction here in Cancer. And you've got Venus, Moon, and Jupiter in Cancer in your chart. Your Venus and Moon happen to be in the 7th house, which means you probably tend to attract very attractive partners. you like your partners to look good, right? And they probably think that you're very attractive as well, especially when it comes to like home, like cooking, things like that. They probably enjoy that about you. You want a partner who's going to want a home and a family and commitment and all that kind of stuff, right? You also want a partner who's going to understand how you feel because you've got your Moon in Cancer. You're very intuitive with this placement. Jupiter expands that. It makes it bigger. Also with Jupiter in Cancer in your 8th house, like I say, when you're getting intimate with someone, you want to take care of them. You want to nurture them and you want to mother them. Now, why is that a problem in this chart? It's a problem because you have markers for, like these are good synastry markers. These could lead to, because you have other markers, these could lead to some type of commitment if you both are really into it. I say most synastry charts, if both partners are willing to work on it, it's a good chart. There are indicators in a chart that can represent challenges, but that doesn't mean that you should necessarily completely avoid someone unless those challenges speak to like violence or things like that, right? But in this specific chart, this synastry that you have right here specifically between his Moon North Node, or excuse me, his Venus North Node conjunction to your Venus, right? That one specifically, because it's like right on top of your Venus. So that's the strongest conjunction or talking point that you guys have there. That's really good. He finds you attractive. You find him attractive. You guys like, you find comfort in the same things. But beyond that, his North Node in Cancer, I don't know if it's in the 7th house or not. It's hitting your 7th house of partnerships. So it's making you think about partnerships. But having his North Node in Cancer means in some way, shape, or form, his purpose or his lesson in this life is going to be centered around home and family. How that will be expressed will be determined by the house placement. But for right now, what we know is that his purpose is going to be centered around home and family in some way, shape, or form, nurturing other people in some way, shape, or form. And that's part of the reason that he finds you so attractive. He finds what you do when you nurture other people to be beautiful. It speaks to the lesson that he needs to learn in this life. How he's going to express it, like I said, we don't know yet. But that's good synastry so far. You have some other good synastry, being that you have a sextile between this Venus on Venus. Also, your moon, before we get to the sextile, let me talk about your moon to his north node. Even though it's a wide orb, it's still in the same sign. Your Jupiter to his north node expands his feelings about this, but your moon to his north node means that, like, intuitively, you understand what his purpose, not really what his purpose is, but you understand home and family, and because of that, that's something else that speaks to his purpose or his lesson that he needs to learn in this life. And then Jupiter expands that. Now, why is that important? Your north node is a point in a chart that is a difficult point. Nobody is comfortable pursuing their north node. They're just not. It's by design uncomfortable because you're asked to step outside of your comfort zone. His comfort zone is work, or, responsibility, right? Probably some sort of all of the Capricorn things. So probably status, career, money, or something, luxury in some way. He's used to those things. He wants to keep those things. But he needs to learn how to nurture other people when it comes to those things that he's built or created or whatever. If he has, we don't know if he has, because I don't know, like you say, the house placements, so on and so forth. But just based on this, like, this is his comfort zone over here. And the way that it's hitting, just based on how it's placed in your chart, it makes him, it's coming into the first house. So the way he's going to come across to you is someone who's very focused on themselves and probably struggles to nurture other people. He probably will rely on you to be the one to nurture him, or he'll learn a lot from you about nurturing other people, but it might be something that's not necessarily in his comfort zone. You might, because of your Jupiter and that being the way that you express yourself, might exacerbate this uncomfortable feeling for him, particularly if you bring up commitment. Right? Let's get married. He's going to be like, hold up. Whoa, wait, hold on. Everything's new. And then, if we come over here, let me look at my notes really quick. I say first, yes, there is a potential for commitment in your synastry. Specifically, you have some Venus to north node to Jupiter, Sun, Sun to moon. Okay, so he has a sun moon conjunction in his chart natally in Taurus. So he's like double Taurus already. And when I cast this chart, I did it at noon. And if he's born anywhere close to noon, he also has a Taurus ascendant, which would make him triple Taurus, which is so fucking stubborn. Excuse my language. I didn't mean to curse, but it's so stubborn. Okay. Very sweet, but so stubborn, so set in their ways, particularly if they're stuck over here in their own comfort, right? Their own status, their career, their own drive, their own pursuits. But anyway, because he has this sun moon conjunction in his chart and the possibility of having all that extra Taurus on top of this double Taurus, that puts his moon into conjunction to your sun Mercury conjunction, which is in your fifth house. You like at a soul level, you like to talk about the things that bring you joy when you are out on a date. It's fun for you to talk to people, it's fun for you to talk about what you want to do, like what you want to build, all of that kind of stuff when you're out on a date. And he gets it. He gets it because his sun and moon, like, he is right there with you. This is good synastry, sun and moon conjunction. Like, he understands your feelings. Also, sun to sun conjunction is good. But the thing is, like I say, it's all of this over here. Also, this makes a sextile to all of this over here. This is one of the reasons you're like, oh my God, he's so sweet. All of this stuff. This synastry is synastry that is very positive, in my opinion, in a chart. And then you have more. You've got Jupiter to the north node. You happen to have your north node in the fifth house. So for you having, hold on, I think I wrote up here where your north node is. You've got some Venus to North Node to Jupiter, Sun to Moon, plus Sun to Sun connections that are favorable. However, you have natal Neptune in Scorpio and natal Jupiter in Cancer. This just means that you are idealistic and love to nurture and care for other people. This is great until you meet someone with North Node in Cancer who might be terrified of home and family. Not that your person is, but they could be nervous about commitment, and your open expression of what you hope for may need to change a tiny bit, especially with that Scorpio energy in play. You could get too deep too soon for his taste, so slow it down or tone it down. You know what you need to do. Remember, this is a final chapter in an issue regarding third house affairs that started from March 2015 through March 2016. Okay, so I didn't talk about your specific North Node in Taurus in the fifth house. You're meant to like build and create literally anything around children, anything like maybe your own business. Maybe you're meant to go out and have fun, create friendships. With his Jupiter making a conjunction to your North Node, especially when it comes to dating, because dating is one of the things, like you're meant to create joy for yourself, literally, with the North Node in Taurus in the fifth house. Like you're meant to build relationships and create joy for yourself. Also, there could be money or love attached to it because Taurus is ruled by Venus. But when Jupiter comes into conjunction to the North Node, like in traditional astrology, Jupiter can represent the husband. And so he's hitting you in such a way that, he's making you think of husband, right? He's also expanding the joy that you feel, like when you guys are together. He probably helps you to act out on some of the ideas that you have. Maybe create them into like a solid foundation with with Mars to North Node and Mercury to North Node, like not just to act them out, but to express them in such a way that puts them into like a solid type of foundation. But with this, where you have the South Node in Scorpio in the 11th house and the North Node in Taurus in the 5th house, or going from 10th house to 4th house, you're meant to go from having a career or being out in the public or being with your friends to focusing on your person, like when it comes to dating, or if it's not that, like maybe working from home in some way, because literally Taurus can be love or money energy. And since we're talking about, eclipse and, all of this stuff, and what you're talking about commitment, I think idealistically, probably what you want is to be, you want to be able to either stay at home or work from home or do something like that. There's something about home and family for you. And so, yeah, like he probably expands that idea or vision, and probably the best way for you to, bring about a new beginning in terms of your love and relationships, especially if you want this relationship to work, is to give it space a little bit, like slow it down, in my opinion. Especially because Mars is kind of making you feel like you want to act because of where it's sitting. It's at 7 degrees, so it's sitting right between your Venus and Moon. So it's literally making you want to act on how you feel, or spend more time with your person. It also could be like a sexual thing, like you might want to get a little bit more, and then Jupiter is where the blessing is coming in for you, right? So where the ending is happening for you is your third house of communication, meaning the way that you communicate when you're in relationship is probably going to change with this eclipse. But that's putting your blessing right here of Jupiter in Mercury in the 7th house. Again, Jupiter can represent the husband in traditional astrology. And so you're asking about, a romantic relationship, and you might, he might say some things that, make you feel very optimistic, make you feel good, right? Just because of like you might get some good news from him, or he might actually genuinely be a possibility. So at this point, just because I don't want the video to go on too long, I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards for you. I don't even know if anybody's still watching the video, but I promised that I would do these readings, so I'm going to do them until I'm done, whether somebody's watching or not. I do have to pee, though, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if that's TMI or not. I cussed already once, so I guess that's, I don't know. All right, let's get you an affirmation. I feel like it's this one right here. Actually, I honestly feel like it's these two. Sorry. Okay. We have today, I believe. Today I will see the miracles and love surrounding me. And today I am in charge. Today I am in control of how I feel. Nobody can make me feel any other way than happy. Very interesting. All right, let me make sure I got these in the right spot so we can pull some other cards. I feel like I want to take the ones on the top. So we've got the Nine of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and Ace of Cups. Look at those pretty cards. Okay, look at King of Wands. Could be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sag. We already know that this not. This just means leadership, right? Take leadership. Someone has leadership. They're a star in the situation, probably you. Look at Six of Cups. Reminisce about, like with the Six of Cups, I kind of feel like this is saying, if you want to talk about like ideal stuff, reminisce about when your kids were kids or something, because Six of Cups is like the good old days, right? Or reminisce about music that you like from the good old days, or things that you have in common, whatever. The Knight of Swords, interesting. Like the Knight of Swords wants to rush in and say stuff, but the sword is up, and so like there might be like, I gotta be honest, when the sword is up, someone wants to argue. And so this deck has been basically very positive overall, but this is saying like somebody might want to argue. Somebody might want to argue about something. And look at the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords to the Queen of Swords. Interesting. One person wants to argue and the other doesn't. The other one's just giving information. So here's the thing. Okay. This is the bottom of the deck. So this can be the foundation of what we're talking about, right? So this could be like past energy. You have to take it however it resonates for you, but it's kind of feeling to me like, especially with these right here. Oh, look. Yeah. So it's kind of feeling to me like this is maybe past energy. Maybe you reminisce about your kids or whatever a lot. And like somebody wants to argue. You don't really want to argue. You're just passing along information. And like, I don't know, like somebody just wants to give love or something. There's justice and balance here. And then the Six of Swords is moving on to a better situation, moving on to something. So there, and then you've got Nine of Swords, worry, right? And then like the Ten of Wands is typically about a burden, but with this particular deck, I'm feeling like the burden is being set down. So setting down the burden of worry. Five of Cups is a card of sorrow and regret. So setting down the burden of sorrow, going within, learning to be like the Emperor, but it's interesting that we have the King of Wands to the Emperor. Like maybe somebody grows up, and then you have the Ten of Cups and the Six of Pentacles, which is like equal energy, equal reciprocity. And then again, temperance, there's a balance there. Four of Swords is again like a spa day, or being able to relax. Seven of Pentacles is planting the seed and allowing it to grow. And then Ace of Pentacles is when you finally get the offer. So again, look at this over here. I feel like this is saying change the way that you communicate. Don't push too hard about like what you want, right? Stay in balance here with this. Like what one person doesn't maybe want to reminisce so much about kids and home and family, right? They just want to talk about what they love, or talk about joyful things, or like be in like having fun, right? I want to be the Knight of Cups with this card here. They just want to be the Knight of Cups, right? So stay in balance, move on to better things. Don't worry. Put down all of this worry right here. Go within, control yourself, and then boom, right? Especially control yourself because of what it says right here. Today, I'm in control of how I feel. Nobody can make me feel any other way than happy. So there might be something that, you know, again, because this person might be a little bit stubborn, because there's already Sun and Moon in Taurus. If they actually are born anywhere near noon, that means they probably have their ascendant there too. Anyway, again, like I say, it's all positive from there. Right here, the Nine of Cups talks about fulfilling your own cup, right? Making yourself feel emotionally happy, especially right now, because this is something brand new and it's tangible, right? Because looking at your chart, it really is tangible. You really do have markers for compatibility that could lead to, especially if you guys are both willing to work on it, could lead to some sort of commitment if you slow it down, right? Again, the Ace of Cups is also brand new, like it's brand new offer of love. So again, like try to slow down, try not to like express that you're interested, but like try not to be too intense, right? Because literally you have the Nine of Cups here. It's saying this thing is new. The thing that's coming in the future is that last cup that will make it the 10. So you just needed that one last coffee cup. So you would have your 10 cups and your picture is full. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave it here, and we'll move on to chart number 8. Okay, chart number 8. What did I say in my notes? Oh, chart number 8. You have your North Node in Pisces. This eclipse is going to be a big one for you. It really is. It's going to be a big one for you spiritually, especially because, like, oh, dude, the Pisces Virgo axis is kind of a difficult, like, axis, right? Mainly because, like, especially when you have, you know, your North Node in Pisces in the second house, like you do, this is going to be, it's going to force you to step outside of your comfort zone, to learn how to have compassion for others when it comes to your values, your value system, your belief system. And the reason that I say that is because if we look at it between whole sign and Placidus, right? I don't know if you were watching earlier, but I like to look at it between whole sign and Placidus. And the reason for that is because in whole sign, it's like you go and you're going to have a house built. So you ask the architect to draw up a blueprint, right? They're going to draw up some plans for the house. It's 2D, but you can see the plans. That's what whole sign is. It's the foundation. It's the plan. It's the plan for your life. Now, how that plan is actually built is determined by you and the choices that you make. And that's where Placidus comes in, right? And those choices that you make, like once the house is finally built, and once you get into starting to build the house, there are things that change in that original blueprint, right? You might have to move some things. You might have to change the size of some things. You might have to change the materials that you use altogether, because something might not be available or whatever the case is, right? So that's what Placidus is. It's like looking at the house after it's been built in 3D. You had a plan starting out in whole sign, but it changes a little bit as you grow when you're looking at it in Placidus, or you get the better details in Placidus. So for you, this particular eclipse just happens to it happens to fall in your second or third house, okay? Depending on whether we go between whole sign or Placidus. Now, what that means is it has to do with the people in your community, like your neighbors, right? Or these can be your siblings, your peers, anyone who is on the same level as you mentally, emotionally, financially, or age-wise, right? But then when you look at it in terms of your second house, which is where in Placidus the full moon is actually hitting, and Neptune, which is the ruler of the full moon, this has to do with your money, right? Or the things that you have that have value. Or the values that you hold, your own personal value and belief system. You probably are very rigid in your belief system, and more than likely there are things about what you believe or what you value, or maybe even your money issues, that might be changing because with this eclipse and in the weeks after it. You have Saturn in conjunction with your North Node in Pisces in the second house, which tells me you've probably been feeling like the pinch financially, because Saturn is not only retrograde, but Saturn restricts, right? Saturn likes to put rules and restrictions and traditions and all these things on whatever it's touching. And for you, it's touching your second house, which is where your money, your bank account is, right? Also, your values have been restricted in some way. Maybe you can't say what you really mean, or you feel like you can't say what you really mean in public, and now that's going to change. Or maybe you used to say what you really want to say in public, and now you have to stop, because it could affect you financially in some way. Just to take it however it resonates for you. But let's look at where Jupiter, where the benefit is coming in for you. It's coming into your sixth house. And I'm sorry that I wasn't using my cursor here. This is all the North Node and Saturn here in your second house that's hitting your money. But over here, where the benefit, after whatever is ending, you have something over here ending. It could be this restriction on your money is ending, but more than likely it's an ending surrounding the restrictive belief system or rigid structured belief system that you have around your values or the way that you make money or something to that effect. Also, what brings you comfort, your community, your neighborhood, your siblings, your peers, how you learn, the way that you speak, the way that you write, the way that you think. Anyway, there's some sort of dream attached to it, or fantasy, or confusion as well attached to it with Neptune here. But again, whatever it is that's ending, the blessing comes in the form of communication. And it's probably healing communication, right? Because it's coming into your sixth house. It'll come in just in your everyday life. It'll be probably an abundance of communication, like somebody's just talking to you a lot every single day, or teaching you a lot or something, or you're reading a lot or something to that effect, because that's, Jupiter and Gemini, there's just abundance of communication. Maybe you're also with Gemini there, maybe you're having to travel from, like, if let's say you live in a bigger city like Los Angeles. If anybody's been to Los Angeles, they know there are a bunch of smaller cities that surround Los Angeles. So you might, have to travel between city to city like that, often because of this Jupiter coming through here. But that could be some sort of benefit to you, like in terms of your money or how you're making money or something, right? It could help to alleviate this pinch. Also, if we look at your natal Jupiter and Neptune, you happen to have natal Jupiter in Libra in the ninth house. and you have Neptune in Scorpio in the 11th house. So your value system with Jupiter in Libra, like your value system, it's all about justice, right? Like maybe even justice for the underdog in some way. You want justice and balance. Justice in your relationship with other people, the way that people, like maybe even in legal issues in some way. In the ninth house, this could deal with the way your relationship with people who are foreign to you. Maybe you're seeking justice in that aspect, and there's something ending there. But here's the thing, this is going to be huge for you, and it's going to cause you to think about what you believe, because Pisces is such a spiritual sign, and your north node is literally calling you to learn compassion for other people and the values and traditions and beliefs and what brings comfort to other people in your community, in your peer group, that type of thing. Like just what your money, maybe you feel like there's an issue where your money is restricted and there's somebody else taking it from you in some way, and you want justice about it, right? Well, some issue in that's going to change, but also your belief system or your belief around that will change as well. Let me read to you what I put in my notes, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the where your Jupiter in Libra is, or excuse me, your Jupiter, excuse me, your Neptune in Scorpio is in the 11th house, and how that relates to your belief system. So I said this eclipse is going to be important for you because you have a Pisces North Node in the second house of values and valuables. The North Node is a difficult position in the chart because it asks us to step outside of our comfort zone. And this is so that we may learn the lesson that we came here to learn. For you, that lesson is compassion for others and their beliefs or traditions. You have a tendency to build structure and order in your own personal world and may become judgmental of others that do not meet your standards. This eclipse marks an ending or completion of a cycle that began in sometime between March of 2015 through March of 2016 around these issues and how they affect you financially. You may learn something during this eclipse that changes your mind about leadership or your set of values. Someone new may come in to enlighten you, and it just shifts everything for you. Plus, you're coming up on your natal return, which will force you to reevaluate all things, or excuse me, your nodal return, which will force you to reevaluate all things second and third house related. Again, right here, this is your Pisces North Node. This is the North Node in the transits right now. And the reason that I say that you might come in contact with someone who changes your belief system is because you've got Jupiter transiting your sixth house of everyday activities. So this might be a boss coming in to your work situation, just because Jupiter represents either it's your boss or like a spouse in some charts. The only reason that I'm bringing up spouse is because this Jupiter is making a trine to Venus in the transits, and Venus happens to be transiting your ninth house, and it's getting ready to make a conjunction to your natal Jupiter in your chart. Remember, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and the eclipse can bring changes. Then the lunar eclipse can bring changes to the people, specifically as a collective related to the areas of their chart. So Venus is possibly a woman. This could be maybe some woman. If it's not a boss for you, this is somebody who, maybe they're just coming in and talking to you, teaching you in some way, because Jupiter is a teacher. Like maybe they're a professor, a mentor, or a leader in some way. And they're changing your mind about leadership. If this is not a female boss, this is a possible love interest that might change your mind about not just leadership, but traditions, values, foreigners, other, anyone that is different from you, right? Places that are far away, right? Also, you have the sun making a conjunction to your natal Pluto. which can be like a power play. And then you've got Mercury making a conjunction to your south node. And remember, Saturn over here is making a conjunction to your north node. So there's already a issue of communication that's hitting your south node, the way that you communicate, the things that you say, the information that you take in, the things that you learn, that type of thing that is coming from other people, because this is a house of shared resources, or those things that you get from other people that support you in some way, shape, or form. So again, coming back to this Jupiter over here, it could be like a boss or someone in a leadership position who just talks a lot about their own beliefs, and it's hitting you in a certain way, and there's like a power struggle, right? But in some way, shape, or form, I think your own personal beliefs are going to change. Okay, so I said someone new may come in, blah, blah, blah. You're coming up on your nodal return. When you come up on your nodal return, which is in the next couple of years, it's really going to bring all of this energy into focus. Like you're really going to feel it. Even if like right now you're just irritated and stressed by, whatever is going on financially or with your values, you're really going to feel it when your nodal return comes into play. And then I said Saturn is making a conjunction to your north node, causing stress not only financially, but also spiritually. You may have a chance to work with someone who expands your mind in a positive way in the coming weeks and months. Let's get you some cards to see. Today I will breathe. Today, as I face challenges, I will call a mental timeout. I will consciously breathe with my eyes closed and focus on slowing my inhalation and exhalation. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Get you some other cards. Oh, we got two with three of them right there. Interesting. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We've got the Knight of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Pay attention to the details, right? This is very slow moving energy, but the reason for that is because the Knight wants to get it right the first time. This is Virgo energy. Pay attention to the details. Look at you're ascending. You're gaining a higher perspective with the Judgment card. Again, the Death card. This could be related to like somebody with Scorpio placements. Okay, so with the Five of Cups, this is a card of like regret and sorrow, but there's a lot of like smiling faces here. It could be that there's some sort of conversation like coming to terms about belief systems. Like maybe you're literally like, maybe what this is saying is you might literally be sitting down and having a conversation or a meal or coffee with someone talking about belief systems, right? Lack, like money issues. This feels political to me. I don't know why. Like this feels like, especially these cards here, it just feels political to me in some way, shape, or form. It's like it almost feels like a round table, especially if it has to do with work. Like there could be like this round table about about political views that might be hitting you the wrong way or something. But here's the thing, like with the Page of Swords there, you might be feeling like, oh, they're watching me. They might see what I'm saying online, so I kind of have to be careful. I don't know. It's just the way it's hitting me. Look at, you got the Empress to the Knight of Swords, and this knight wants to fight. Because again, the sword is upwards and wants to bring out some sort of secret. Okay. This knight wants to fight, wants to bring out some sort of secret. This is hitting me about like beliefs again. Like, well, it's a card of like choices, but it's also a card of dreams, right? Because it's a cups. How you want things to end, right? Or how you want the world to be. Your dreams of how you want the world to be. Like someone has a problem. Like you may need to have a like one-on-one discussion to bring an end to some issue. It's just how it feels to me. Take it however it resonates. Especially with this right here, like someone might be irritating you because their beliefs are different from yours. And that might be the reason that you need to have this face-to-face, whatever. Sit down, let's have coffee, or let's have a meal together type of thing. All right. I actually feel like it wants to go this way. We have the Nine of Pentacles, the Four of Wands to the Six of Cups. I love that. So the Nine of Pentacles is very independent energy. The Four of Wands is something to celebrate, celebrating your independence, right? With positive, fond memories, right? Reminiscing about the good old days. I think that's what it, like, just simply because the way this one hit me, like this, okay, let's have this conversation. Like this feels like, if you can do that and you can breathe, this is sort of the outcome, the new beginning that you'll have after this eclipse is over. And also, another thing that I want to say, when I asked you if you had a specific question, you were like, oh my God, there are so many questions. It's no wonder that was your response to that, because you're coming up on your nodal return, which means you're feeling pressure internally to actualize your North Node, meaning to start seeing things from, a new perspective regarding your values, the actual money that you have, right? How you make money, that type of thing, your spiritual values, that type of thing, and how you express that in your community. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave that here, and we will move on to chart number 9. Okay, chart number 9. You have the eclipse hitting your 5th house. So this is a house of like anything creative, anything that brings you joy. It can be anything that you create, from a child to a business to art to, a relationship, all the things that you do to make a baby, all the things that bring you joy. So really quick, I want to read my notes. All right, so I wrote here on your special note, the 5th house is where the eclipse is hitting you, but for you're gaining, your benefit is coming in through support for your creative expression. All right, so let's dive into it. I want to read my notes here first, and then we'll look at the chart. It said, this eclipse is hitting your 5th house with your blessing coming in as support from others that allows you to act upon your intuition regarding all 5th house matters. So what are 5th house matters? Again, that can be children, dating, hobbies, anything that brings you joy, anything that allows you to shine in the world, right? Anything that brings out your inner child in any way. So you want to act upon those things. You have natal Jupiter right up here. Where is it? Oh, natal Jupiter in the 5th house right here. Oh, it's in Pisces. Jupiter is so comfortable in Pisces because Jupiter rules Pisces. That's very important. It's also your Jupiter is in conjunction to your Chiron, which is also important. Now, why is that important? Chiron is where we have been wounded. Usually, this is like something that happens in our early childhood. And because of that, we need to heal that wound as we mature. And then we then take that knowledge and use it to heal others. In your case, you probably will take that knowledge and use it to heal maybe your children or children in general. If it's not children, it could be maybe your romantic partners, or it could be a business that you start as well, because again, this is a creative house. So anything that you create here. But this wound for you is a spiritual wound. You're probably very empathetic because of having Chiron as well as Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter, like I said, Jupiter rules Pisces. So you're probably very compassionate and empathetic, especially when it comes to children. There's probably some wound around something creative, or maybe in your childhood you were stopped or blocked from your creative expression in some way, shape, or form. And you've been on a quest over here with Jupiter in Pisces. It's like a spiritual quest. Like Jupiter in Pisces is like a quest for the meaning of life, right? It's a connection to God. It's very, very abundantly spiritual. But what's interesting is that you have Saturn restricting this energy in the transits. So maybe you haven't been able to express yourself in some way, in a spiritual way, a deep healing spiritual way, to your children, your romantic partner, or through your through something creative that you're doing. And this eclipse is going to bring a change to that. I think it's going to bring an end to that. And the blessing that's going to come in for you comes in the form of support from others. Now, Jupiter in the 8th house can be like actual financial support. It doesn't have to be. It can just be something that is very abundant for you. Abundant information that can support you financially. It could also be because you happen to have the moon in Gemini here in the 8th house with Mars in Gemini as well. Like the moon in Gemini in the 8th house is very, very psychic. You probably have intuitive insights that come really quickly, and you probably act on them naturally or instinctively, right? You act on your ideas. Maybe you have a lot of ideas and you don't realize that those are intuitive hits. Like you just think you have a lot of creative ideas. Also, emotionally, being in Gemini in the 8th house, like you like to get to know someone on an intimate level. You like to talk to people. And so that could be, a way that your ability to talk to people, to act on your instincts, you could gain you support from others in some way that will again support your creative expression. Okay, and so I wrote you have North or natal Jupiter in Pisces in the 5th house. So you are very comfortable in the spiritual and creative realms. You thrive there because art or children can bring you, or even romantic partnerships can bring you joy and healing in some way. Even if you were blocked in those areas as a child, I say, you are very intuitive, but maybe this eclipse is asking you to clarify who you are in a creative way and then express that publicly. Your North Node is in Leo in the 10th house, very public. Leo, gets the spotlight anyway. You have your sun in Leo, so you probably have the spotlight or you get attention anyway. But your North Node, your sun are both in conjunction to the midheaven. Your North Node isn't just in the 10th house, it's in conjunction to the midheaven. Your sun is in conjunction to the midheaven from the 9th house in this Placidus chart, meaning that you are probably very popular. You're probably very driven as well, but you are meant to do whatever this creative thing is publicly. You're meant to share it publicly. I say your purpose is to forge your own creative life in order to give generously to the world, particularly when you are feeling lonely or in pain. You are meant to express that in a creative way. So if the eclipse brings some sort of ending to something regarding a crush, your children, a business that you had, or anything else that you've created in the past, likely something that began between March of 2015 through March of 2016, then this eclipse is opening a door for something brand new in that same area, something creative. Your north node is square to your ascendant, so this may make you feel a little shy, or it may make it a little bit difficult for you to express creatively in some way, but you can push through it. And if you do push through it, you will gain a whole lot, and most of it will come in the form of support from others. Maybe, other people's, word of mouth or something, people talking you up, referring you or referring your work to other people, because this is the eighth house, which is the house of shared resources or other people's money. So also you have like taxes and investments and things like that up here in this house. So, you're getting some sort of benefit or blessing in the form of communication, information, or you're learning something in regards to these areas here. Did I cover your natal Neptune? So you have natal Neptune in the first house in Scorpio. And this is, it's a very deep, like, you probably have this, like, well, first of all, Neptune in the first house can give you a sort of youthful way of interacting with the world, whether it's in your appearance, the way that you talk, the way that you speak, the way that you think or look at other people, right? The assumptions that you make about other people. But Neptune can also make you a little bit naive. That's one of the ways that you can seem younger with Neptune in the first house. But being in Scorpio, this is also very, very intuitive. So again, this calls into, or it confirms, you've got the moon over here in Gemini in the eighth house, which is typically a Scorpio house already. It has to do with like mediumship because of its connection to death. So you may actually have a mediumship gift. That might be a way that you can share your creativity with the world. But maybe you're a little bit shy or something. I don't know. Or maybe there's something about, your sun in the ninth house, like, this is the sun in the ninth house makes you a leader, right? But, you're a leader because of your wisdom, because of what you have to say. You also have Mercury and Leo there as well. So I don't know, there's just something, this is very deep, intuitive, like you have the ability with this particular placement to see, like literally see, because of Neptune. It's all about like clairvoyance, right? To see the big picture. And so there's something about this creative, intuitive, spiritual, something that's been blocked for you that's changing. And there's a new beginning happening, some sort of new creative beginning happening that's meant to be shared with the public in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so let's get some cards for you. It says, today I am special. Today I will realize that I am unique, a unique and one of a kind person. All right, let's get some other cards. I guess it's done. That one was like plop. Okay, I hate to say this, but look at here's the thing. Everything that happens during a reading, I always take as part of the reading. And the way those cards just went, like, it was almost like I know this is TMI, but it was almost like it was plopping like a load of poop. Let's just say it that way. Take that however it resonates. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that your stuff is poop. What I'm saying is there was something about the way that it plopped that reminded me of, right? I don't know. Just take it however it resonates. We got the 8 of Swords. You feel trapped. So I have this idea now that I've seen the bottom of the deck and the way that those sounded when it finished. I was like, oh, I guess it's done right there. You may have tried to do something in this regard before, and like it kind of went over like a load of poop, right? And so now you feel restricted, you feel trapped, but it's all in your mind. There's a successful conclusion to whatever this restriction is, right? Like you might have tried something before and it went over, like it just didn't hit well, right? And so there's like, it's left you feeling trapped, but it's coming to an end. The 5 of Cups, again, I feel like this is a card of like no more regrets or getting over regrets, especially because you got the Hermit here. Like there's, look at it's with these 3 cards together. It's like, because these look so happy. And then you have the Hermit card, the kitty cat's coming out of the box. And then you've got the Page of Wands, which is like, hey, it's almost like he's saying, hey, look at what I made, right? Because wands are very passionate. It's very passionate energy. It's spiritual energy as well. But then the star on this wand, like it's some sort of gift or talent. So look at what I made, right? You're coming out of your shell in some way. No more regrets. And then it's moving on to bigger and better things, especially with the Chariot victory, moving on to bigger and better things. And look at, he's literally going up the hill in this specific chariot. He's driving uphill. And then you've got the King of Cups, which is like emotional maturity, fulfillment, like it really being emotionally on track, feeling good emotionally, feeling stable, having collaboration, cooperation, because you're the star, like other people are going to be helping you, like I said. But you'll have some choices to make because there's a lot of like messages or information coming in, a lot of friendships to celebrate. And then look at, like, you're sort of, and look at, dude, look at the Hierophant to Death, like, and then to the Sun. You're bringing clarity over. If you're into, like, if you've tried mediumship before, if you've never tried it before, whatever, like, I think with this, like, it's saying you have some wisdom to share, either about loss, right? And getting over loss, or there's some mediumship ability that you need to cultivate because it's new. Maybe you haven't practiced it because you're feeling restricted. Let's look at your 3 cards here. We've got the 4 of Wands, the Empress, and the 6 of Wands. Look at that. Something to celebrate. Like literally the Empress, she rules over all of the other queens in the queendom, right? Like she is the top queen, right? The top whatever. Like you are meant to rule over your empire. You're meant to get recognition. You're meant to do something for the public. 1000% with these placements. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that here and move on to my lucky number 10. Well, you know who you are, my beautiful lucky number 10. Okay, give me 1 second to get my screen. Lucky number 10, this eclipse, I said, it's hitting your 8th house, and it's bringing in some emotional and financial boundaries for you. So let's talk about it. Okay. First, I think I need to read my notes really quick. I said, this eclipse is hitting your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources, with transiting Jupiter bringing you a blessing from the 11th house of friends. This whole chart, though, feels like an intimacy issue regarding boundaries. Okay. Again, it could be boundaries in friendships, or it could be boundaries in finances. Someone is bringing you down. Okay. Emotionally, and you need to set boundaries that will likely result in the end or completion of that particular relationship. But then Jupiter brings you a blessing in the form of a new friendship. This could also be about money, where maybe you get a wish or a reward regarding 8th house resources. So one thing that I do want to say, when it comes to blessings coming in with the 11th house, and I'm sorry that I'm stopping in the middle of my notes, it's just because I thought of this and I didn't write it down in my notes for some reason. It would have been good if I had. But again, Jupiter coming into your 11th house, this is a house of like hopes, wishes, your extended circle, your extended family, your social circle, your friendship circle. So whatever this blessing is that's coming in, it could be, and beyond that, it's also the rewards that you get from the work that you put into the 10th house. So if we're talking about 8th house issues in terms of joint resources, right? And you happen to have some sort of ending happening here in this 8th house, but you also have your Chiron in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces, which means that there's some sort of, there's like restriction around 8th house issues. Let's talk about what all is in 8th house, because I kind of know what some of this restriction is around. It could be about this. It might not be about this. But I happen to know like that there is some issue with you being able to get information about your family, right? And so, and we both know why. I'm not going to go because we want to keep this private. We both know why. And so when you look to the 8th house and we're talking about inheritance issues, we're talking about all those things that you inherit from your family. Well, you don't know what most of those things are that you inherit from your family. And it's difficult for you to find those things out, right? There's some sort of restriction, and that's a wound for you. And it's a wound that you've needed to heal in your life in some way, shape, or form, right? Getting over, because we need to look to your natal chart. Where do you have Neptune and Jupiter natally? You've got Neptune in your 4th house and you've got Jupiter in your 12th house. So these are the water houses. It's all about emotions. Having all of this Scorpio energy here in your 4th house means that there's been trauma around family. Family that you had to leave behind, and leaving you confused, leaving you with questions, and how you've had to get over those issues in your life. But Jupiter has brought you optimism. It's helped you to be able to see the bright side of things, right? And so because you have this ability within you, you've been able to overcome these things when it comes to 8th house issues. That's the reason that I'm reading this chart as you need to set some sort of emotional boundary with someone, right? There might be someone who is struggling right now because you've got the moon and Neptune here, right? They're struggling emotionally, and like maybe they've been coming to you and you've been trying to help heal them because the moon is hitting your Chiron and your Saturn. Like literally it just passed over it. So maybe this has been going on for a little while, right? I don't know how long, but the moon moves pretty quickly. So you might have noticed this even like a few days ago, like you're just kind of getting to the point where it's like maybe this person is sort of making you feel a little bit down, right? A little bit, not so good. And you're trying to stay positive, right? And so because of that, maybe that you need to bring an end to this. Maybe this person doesn't need to be so close anymore. Maybe you need to put some distance, like put an end to this intimacy, put a boundary up in this emotional area for you. So that's one possibility. But the other possibility, because this is a money house, is that there needs to be some sort of boundary financially. Having Saturn and Chiron here tells me that maybe money has not been all that easy. Like, there's some restriction when it comes to the resources that you get from other people. Meaning, you've probably had to struggle, like you've probably had to have faith, especially with Pisces here, like you've had to learn to have faith when it comes to this. Let's see. And then that is creating this opposition over here to Mercury to Mars. Your Mercury conjunct Mars, and then the Sun is coming through and hitting Pluto and all this stuff in your second house. But the way that I'm seeing this is an end to either this, person who's maybe a little bit of an emotional vampire. Not that they're trying to be, it's just that they're struggling, right? And you need to put some distance between them. Or there's something around your financial situation with joint resources that is ending. Some maybe possibly even, some sort of restriction. Like that, like things might be a little bit, or might be getting a little bit tighter as we speak. Well, Saturn is in retrograde, so it might have been tight. Maybe that's the thing that's ending is the tightness of the money. The need to budget could be the thing that's ending, and it's because you have some sort of blessing coming in from either your friends, your social circle, something. Somebody's giving you information, talking you up, giving you, telling their friends about you in some way, telling you about some sort of job that you could apply for, maybe, or some sort of hope or wish that might be of benefit to you. Let me see what else I wrote in my notes. I said Jupiter will bring you a blessing in the form of a new friendship. This could also be about money, where you get a wish or reward regarding 8th house resources. The reason that I say reward is because the 11th house is the rewards that you receive, or the recognition that you receive from the efforts that you put into your 10th house. And your South Node and North Node are in play in this energy because your Neptune happens to be in Scorpio, and your Neptune happens to be in conjunction to your South Node. So you have had to leave the home behind, if it comes to career, because we're talking about now possible benefits from career, or the way that you go out into the world to earn money, because this is a money house that the eclipse is hitting you in. But in terms of a career, or what you're meant to build your own career, or your own like money, your own wealth in this life, because your North Node is in Taurus in the 10th house. You're meant to build yourself a reputation for yourself as well, probably doing some sort of Taurus work, which means, again, whatever this work is that you're doing here, you might receive the benefit of it over here after this eclipse. So these things began sometime between March 2015 through March 2016, and this eclipse is bringing an ending or a culmination to that. So if you've been to stay at home all that time, you'll now be going out into the workforce because somebody gives you a good reference, or puts word out for you, or something, like tells you about a job, and you go to apply for it, boom, you get the job, right? Whatever the case may be. So it said that it began sometime between 2015 to 2016, around with issues around setting emotional and financial boundaries. This is just the last chapter of this particular lesson. Then you start a whole new cycle that centers around how, your intimacy issues with other people, and the way that you share resources. Also, somebody might give you some really good advice. If they do, take it. Let's go ahead and get you some cards. And for those who are still watching, a way that you can work through this particular full moon and the energies that are, going to be in play for the next couple of days is to just, first of all, be gentle with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, because this is Pisces energy, but also get spiritual, like yoga, meditation, sound baths, singing bowls, readings, going within, just, introspection, right? Those are all good things. Anything that you can do that's creative, particularly art, anything that's visual, because Neptune's influence. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Oh, that one wants to come out. Okay, it says, today I believe. Today I will see the miracles and love surrounding me. Okay. Also, if you like this video, you found any kind of like value in it, or anything, please share. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please hit that button, subscribe. I'm going to be doing the psychic fair in Long Beach in November, but I'll post something probably on Facebook or TikTok about it. Oh, those two want to come out. Let's take, oh, that one wants to come out too. All right, so you got 4 cards. Look at justice on the bottom. There's some sort of balance coming in for you. Yeah, again, love or money, meaning love, meaning, friendship, relationship, some sort of intimate relationship that's dragging you down. You need to rest, relax, recuperate, rejuvenate. You need a spa day with this card, with the 4 of Swords. Okay. Take a time out. Take a leadership role as well. Like, this is be the boss, right? Like the boss might come in, like you're the boss. Or take control of this toxic situation, because the way the Emperor is sitting next to the Devil with the 8 of Swords, this toxic situation that makes you feel trapped. And then the World card, it's saying end it. You can end this successfully. Do it compassionately though. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and look at your cards. Ooh, hold on. Yeah, we're going to do like that. So you have the 7 of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and then you've got 2 people coming in here at the end. The Knight of Wands looking at the Page of Swords. Very interesting, because the Knight of Wands has a star on his chest. The wand is hitting his chest in such a way. So this is a knight full of valor, someone who's coming in with good intentions, right? Probably, and they're looking at this person over here. So the Knight, in terms of maturity, or like, when you talk about like hierarchy with the court cards, or ages, like this would be someone whose maturity level is more that of like a younger person or a child, maybe even a teenager, right? If it's not an actual child, it's somebody who could be acting childish. The sword is up, so maybe they're like saying something that is, there's a problem to the things that they're saying, and then you've got somebody looking at that, and they've got this star on their chest. They've got a lot of valor in their heart. But the Knight of Wands, the interesting thing about the Knight of Wands is that they're in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, right? Maybe they want to help, but there's some reason that they can't. I wouldn't say this particular Knight of Wands in this particular deck is necessarily unreliable. The reason that I say that I would not give them that moniker is because of the star on their chest. This is someone who is, they're very, like, they are a star. They're very, they're trying to be a champion. Literally, they're trying to be responsible. But anyway, coming back over here, you've got deception over here with the 7 of Swords. And sometimes the 7 of Swords can talk about more than deception. It can be about like trying to carry too much baggage, right? You're carrying too much baggage with you, and that's what this person is doing. Someone is deceiving themselves. They're trying to carry too much baggage. More than likely, like I said before, this eclipse is talking about there's some sort of boundary issue that has it's an emotional boundary issue. I know your question specifically had to do with second house things. I do think you're going to get some benefit that will hit your second house in a positive way. Okay. I think, more than likely you'll hear about some sort of something that some news that you act upon, and that's probably going to bring you a job. Maybe there's a boss because you've got the sun coming into your second house, and it's making a conjunction to your Uranus and Pluto. So literally, it's probably a boss coming in. More than likely, because of the Sun Pluto Uranus thing, they might be someone that it might be a little bit of a like there might be a little bit of a conflict there. But beyond that, I feel like the cards are talking about this emotional boundary of whatever it is. Somebody is draining you emotionally. You're trying to stay positive, especially with the Queen of Wands, because look at the card here, the star here. The Queen of Wands is like the energy of Leo, and you happen to have a Leo ascendant, and you've got that Jupiter in Leo in your 12th house that gives you that optimism through the dark times. That's one of your blessings, your hidden blessing, right? Because again, Jupiter is the great benefic in astrology. So your hidden blessing is your optimism, and you're trying to maintain it, right? But this person is carrying so much baggage. And I think there's somebody else coming in watching this situation as well. Like maybe, I don't know, somebody else is coming in, and like there's something about this person is coming in and trying to save the situation. They're trying to bring justice to this situation in some way, shape, or form, or bring balance to this situation. I think this is you. Whoever this person is less mature than you, the knight, but they're trying to be a champion, or they are a champion. They're coming in to help you in some way. They're helping you. So again, because I feel like this is dual-sided, it's a money house, but I feel very much like your reading has to do with emotional boundary, right? So if this is a money situation, this is someone who's a champion coming in to help you by giving you the fighting edge in terms of employment, right? But if it's beyond that, in terms of the emotional boundary, somebody's coming in, they might be saying something to this person over here about, hey, look, blah, 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 blah. Or they might give you advice on what you should say to this person over here to set this boundary. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And if you guys liked it, like I say, share it. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And also leave me a comment if you want me to do more videos like this. All right. Bye.